On November 21st, 2024, Russia used its newest ballistic missile, Oreshnik, in combat conditions. And it raised a lot of new questions, some of which we will answer in today's episode. Where did the missile come from? How is it connected to the Dnipro Design Bureau Yuzhnoye? And what determined the choice of its first target? How will the rules of the game change now? And most importantly, what else can we expect in the near future? We'll talk about all this, the interesting Arctic platform project, and also about the new hero of the week after a brief summary of positive news. The Soyuz 21A, a launch vehicle with the Progress MS-29 cargo spacecraft, successfully launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome. The next batches of Su-57 and Su-35S aircraft have been delivered to the troops. The Parma shipyard has built a new Neptune 23 project hovercraft for the Yenisei. In Samara, a passenger vessel of the PV-20S project was launched. In Perm, the cruise electric ship Baikal of the TFR-P700 project was laid down. In Bashkiria, production of tools for oil extraction, a technical carbon granulation line, and packaging manufacturing have been launched. In Tambov region, an import substituting production of fuel additives has been launched. In Chelyabinsk region, trailer manufacturing. In Petrozavodsk, a stone processing plant. In Kaluga region, compound feed production. In Moscow region, new ice cream production lines. On November 21st, the newest ballistic missile, Oreshnik, which had not been reported anywhere before, struck targets at the Dnipro Yuzhmash enterprise. It is more or less reliably known only that this is a medium-range missile with a multiple independently target-table re-entry vehicle, capable of hitting a target at a speed of 10 Mach. The appearance of such a weapon radically changes the rules of the international game and corrects our old mistake. Let me remind you that intercontinental ballistic missiles exist. These are the ones capable of crossing the ocean, and so-called medium and shorter range missiles, that is, those that can strike at distances of up to 5,500 kilometers and up to 1,000 kilometers, respectively. To hit a target on another continent, an intercontinental missile may need several dozen minutes, but their younger brothers, although they don't reach as far, are practically unstoppable within their range. During the Cold War years, we created an excellent mobile medium-range missile system, the RSD-10 Pioneer, which took all of Europe into its nuclear sights, and the Americans responded by deploying their Pershing T and land-based versions of Tomahawk cruise missiles. The risk of nuclear war increased many times over, and the ideological opponent of nuclear weapons, Mikhail Gorbachev, in 1987, achieved the signing of a treaty between the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics and the United States of America on the elimination of intermediate-range and shorter-range missiles, banning such weapons. For the sake of détente, both sides began eliminating intermediate-range and shorter-range ground-based missiles and pledged to stop their production. As usual, for some reason we overfulfilled our obligations and scrapped, among other things, weapons that were not even banned by the terms of the treaty. For example, the AK tactical missile system with a range of 450 kilometers. Only several decades later did we correct this mistake by creating a similar system known as Iskander. But as for the RSD-10 Pioneer, we lost it forever because we destroyed it with our own hands along with all the design documentation. And this gave our adversaries the illusion of complete permissiveness. Having decided that Russia no longer posed a serious threat, the Americans initiated the expansion of the NATO bloc and the strengthening of its eastern flank in Europe. We did not sit idly by and were developing new types of weapons to restore the balance of power. But by 2018, it became clear that the Gorbachev Treaty on the elimination of intermediate-range and shorter-range missiles was turning into a fiction. Moreover, we accused the Americans of violating it, and they accused us. In 2019, Trump announced the cessation of compliance with the terms of the treaty, and soon it became known about the United States' plans to once again flood Europe with ballistic missiles and modern air defense systems. It should be especially noted that all this happened long before February of 2022. We did not make any threatening statements in response, and only on the 28th of June, 2024, at a meeting of the Security Council, President Putin suggested considering the resumption of production of our intermediate-range ballistic missiles. Anyone who has been observing Russian politics for a long time knows well that if such statements are made publicly, it means that the process has actually already been set in motion, which was confirmed in less than 5 months. The ballistic missile, which was named Oreshnik, was initially confused with the missile of the RS-26 Rubej complex. This is not surprising since information about these products is always vague. Even Western intelligence, with all their satellites and other capabilities, missed the development of Oreshnik. And every day brings contradictory versions. However, it's still possible to trace the approximate lineage of the missile, and indirectly it goes back to the Dnipro design bureau Yuzhnoye, whose production facilities were hit by the debut launch. So in the mid-1980s, the Moscow Institute of Thermal Technology, together with the Dnipro design bureau Yuzhnoye, began developing a new missile system, which later received the name Topol-M. After the collapse of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the Ukrainians left the project and it was completely transferred to Moscow. Fortunately, we didn't abandon it and brought it to completion and then adopted it into service both in mobile and silo-based versions. Topol-M is an intercontinental missile with a range of up to 12,000 kilometers. Soon after, the same Moscow Institute of Thermal Technology developed an even more advanced project called YARS. There was also information about the development of a lighter version of YARS, known as R-26 Rubej. According to some reports, it has a range of up to 6,000 kilometers, which at the time of the first mentions of it would have fallen under the ban of the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. Probably for this reason, no official information about it was published. And in 2018, the Ministry of Defense announced that in the armament program until 2027, there is no such item. However, this week, the world saw the Oreshnik complex appear, seemingly out of nowhere. This is what initially sparked rumors about the use of the R-26 Rubej. But even if they are not directly related, the new complex definitely incorporates all previous developments, from the YARS, from the Topol, and even from the discontinued Pioneer. And also, by a cruel twist of fate, from what was once the pride of Soviet rocket engineering, the Yuzhnoye Design Bureau from Dnipro. The Soviet Union managed to create in Dnipro, without exaggeration, a true gem, a leading center for rocket development and production. Yuzhmash produced 100 intercontinental ballistic missiles a year, that is, one missile every 3 days. No one else in the world could repeat this. The Yuzhnoye Design Bureau also designed unique engines for space, including for flights to distant planets. And if the Soviet Union hadn't collapsed, humanity as a whole would be at a much higher stage of development today, and the current achievements of the Americans would seem like child's play to us. Unfortunately, today the legendary factory has become foreign, and the United States and the United Kingdom have set up the production of weapons threatening Russia on its premises. And since the facility was built with the possibility of a nuclear war in mind, it's practically impossible to destroy it with conventional means. The main facilities are hidden deep underground. The strike on November 21st is, first and foremost, a warning that, if necessary, we can reach the enemy even underground. How well it was heard will be shown by future events. And although Oreshnik turned out to be an unexpected and pleasant debut, we may have other new developments ahead of us. Let's get back to YARS. Its modernization potential is far from exhausted. Mentions of YARS-M periodically appear in the media, whose main feature is the presence of independently targetable warheads, that is, each equipped with its own engine. Reports suggest the product is being readied for production. Work is also underway on an even more advanced system, a Sina RV. There is a suggestion that it was this very system that was successfully tested on June 28, 2021 at the Plesetsk Range. But all of this is shrouded in a thick veil of state secrecy, which is quite reasonable. How does Oreshnik's rise to global political prominence change things? At this moment, he has undermined something much more important than the Dnipro factory, namely the confidence of Western leaders that they know everything about Russia and our developments. In reality, they only know what we ourselves show them at the time that suits us. If they missed Oreshnik, then how can they know what other surprises are in our arsenal? They will be asking themselves this question for a long time now, and it will undoubtedly have a noticeable impact on political attitudes. And while they are figuring out what's what, we will continue to create the latest models of weaponry and let this process never be interrupted again. We will keep you updated on the developments. And now, about another interesting tech project. Recently, the United Shipbuilding Corporation presented a universal platform for the Arctic fleet of the future. At its core is the Patrol Ice-class ship Arc-7 Ivan Popanin, Project 23550. One such ship has already been built and is being prepared for delivery to the military, but they also propose to use the platform for peaceful purposes, for the construction of research, rescue, expedition vessels, as well as supply ships and even cruise liners. The first one, named Kunashir, will be able to take up to 100 passengers on board and provide them with a comfortable journey, overcoming ice more than 1.5 meters thick. Since Russian shipyards have already established the production of the Project 2355 ship and have the necessary equipment and all technological processes have been worked out, it can be expected that the serial production of the platform will not take long to begin. In general, we try to keep track of the fate of the projects and the factories that we visit personally. So a year ago, we showed you the newly opened unmanned aerial vehicle factory, Transport of the Future. Back then, it fit into a small space and consisted of just a few production lines. A year later, we came back and were quite surprised. Very soon, a detailed tour of the enterprise will be released on our channel, and you will see for yourself what exactly impressed us. So it's worth subscribing to the channel right now on any convenient platform. Next, about the hero. Early in the morning, near the city of Krasnoyarsk, a private two-story residential house caught fire. At that moment, Dmitry Kuragin was driving by with friends. Noticing the smoke, he immediately headed to the fire scene. Neighbors said that a woman with a broken leg was trapped inside the house. While Dmitry's friends were calling the rescuers, he broke a window and, ignoring the cuts, climbed into the burning house. Nothing could be seen there anymore because of the smoke, but by following the wheezing and moans, he managed to find the owner of the house by touch. The guy carried her outside in his arms. However, he didn't stop there, and together with his friends also drove the victim's car out of the garage to save it from the fire. Soon the rescuers arrived and did their job, but it was thanks to the guy's courage that a human life was saved. This incident happened a year ago. Just last week, Dmitry Kuragin was awarded a medal by the Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations for saving someone from a fire. Thank you for your heroic deed, and we wish you success.